Hey everyone, we're back with another episode of How to Get My Job. We sit down with amazing people within the design and product industry and ask them how their careers started, evolved, and what advice they have for those coming after them. Joining us today is Wing Hoang, a product manager at Plane Studio. Hey Wing, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How's it going? How's the week going?
Yeah, it's going really well. We've just got our new merch, which I'm rocking
Nice.
today.
Very nice.
Kind of see it. And yeah, we've got a bank holiday weekend, so
So,
I'm looking forward to that. And now it would be great to just hear a bit more about you, your background, and any tips and advice you have for people out there. So I'm just going to jump into it with the first question.
yep.
Which is, how did you get your first job in product?
It all really started after I graduated from my bachelor's degree in 2014. God, so long ago. And so I got my first job in local government because I really like the idea of like contributing to my local community. And so I worked for my local council. And I started off in the libraries and then I eventually made my way up into like the adult social care department. And so my job was to kind of support older and vulnerable residents and like, figuring out what their problems were and then like signposting them to different community groups. But then eventually I came to a point where I was trying to streamline the service as much as I could because like going to each resident and then like just kind of signposting them to a community group that wasn't within the council services, it was a one-to-one mapping. So like, if you're delivering a service, you want a one-to-many service. So, you're one person, but you can serve many people. And so you want to make it as efficient as possible. And so I figured out like ways to kind of streamline the process of giving these residents their like, what they need, the services and the information that they wanted. And so, and a lot of this became like intuitively learning about like user journey mapping and all this kind of stuff. I just didn't know the name of it. It just kind of made sense to me at the time. Like just figuring out what is their actual experience now, and then how do you like reduce it by like 50% or something? Like how do you make it more efficient? And eventually, like I realized that the kind of government environment wasn't quite right for me. I wanted to be at like the forefront of like industry and services. I wanted to make sure like, I was learning like best practices, like, what was the best way to do these kind of things. Like at the time I had like no background in technology whatsoever. I came from a background in like illustration and concept art and stuff like that. And so I eventually decided to like start learning about web development. And then that's where I found out what product management was. And once I read about it, I was like, this is exactly what I want to be doing. And so I eventually resigned from my position, and then spent a bit of time figuring out how to like get into product management. And then I eventually had a opportunity to apply for a scholarship program with Loughborough University London, which is based in Stratford. And shout out to them because they're an amazing institution. And that was like the year where I was like, okay, this is 1 year in my entire life. I'm going to make it happen. I was like, I'll set a goal. I want to be a product manager. I want to be a technical product manager. And so I just had like a booklet and I wrote down every kind of like relevant skill or experience that was related to product management. And I was like, this is what I'm focusing on for the whole year. And I really took every opportunity I could in that 1 year. And that's usually my advice for people who are going into like graduate schemes. I'm like, it's 1 year in your life, just like focus and knuckle down kind of thing. That led me to like different opportunities, and I got to network a lot. I did a couple of internships, and then eventually I did my dissertation with my first product company. And then they offered me a role as an assistant product manager, and that was my first foray into product management. And that's how I kind of stepped into that realm.
Amazing. I guess on the topic of, trying to figure out, what it takes to become a product manager, leads quite nicely onto our next question, which is, what are the most important qualities a product manager could have?
For me, I think the most important skill you can have is structured thinking. And so that I think is the framework that you will have to rely on to kind of make your day-to-day decisions. And then everything else kind of branches away from that. And so what I kind of mean is like, if you are trying to make a decision, you need to have a structured rationale for this. Kind of steers you away from like being reactive or like just solely relying on your gut feelings and stuff. Like if I had made a decision and I got stakeholder that asked me, oh, why are we going in this direction? I should be able to give like kind of 3 layers of rationale on that decision. And so if you can structure your rationale into that kind of framework, and everything is part of a bigger context. And so if I say like, I want an orange shade, that will be part of a bigger context, and that would be part of an even bigger context. And so embracing that kind of structured way of rationalizing, because nothing exists in a vacuum, that will really hone your decision-making skills. And then you attach to that like data analysis and user research and stuff. But data analysis is just another way of saying like rational thinking. It's a way to like just rationalize what is objectively there. And user research is just about active listening. So under structured thinking, I would say being able to be unbiased and rational in your thinking and being an active listener will serve you really well as a product manager. And that's probably all you need. Like, I don't really have a technical background. I've done like a few courses on like web development, but I will forget everything. Like, I probably can't even remember how to do the hello world kind of introductions on things. But like, and that's not, so the technical side of things isn't my background, but these 3 areas, active listening, rationalization, and like structured thinking, these are the things that really serve me well as a product manager today.
Love that. And I think structured thinking is one that could be applied to many different roles and just life in general.
And like, funnier enough, I think a lot of people who might be hesitant about going into product management, or like, they might think, oh, I don't really know what product management is. When I was starting out in this field, I was kind of almost like envious of developers and designers, because I was like, they have like a really hard like craft skills, like very concrete. They know, like, exactly what they're kind of doing. And so they could like build their own stuff. It's like, oh my God, they could build their own like businesses, and they could build whatever they come in mind. And so it made me feel bad as a product manager, because I was like, what is the hard skills I take away from this kind of career? I don't know what it is. And it made me feel a little bit like envious. But then like, having gone through the years as a product manager, like, I now know that like the reward that you kind of get out of this field, or the takeaway that you can get out of this field, is that really refined rational thinking. And that's what I think really good product managers are. Like, they're really good rational thinkers. And so, and once you have that, the world becomes your oyster. Like, you really know how to like articulate your ideas. You can really like make good arguments for people, like, and help them in really good ways. And that's why product managers are valuable to businesses, because they just help you refine your decision-making process. And that's all product management really is. It's just decision-making. That's it.
That's, I guess, one of like the most crucial things in business, right? If you're good at making decisions and good at like rationalizing things, you're invaluable when it comes to moving the business forward, when it comes to strategy, when it comes to, building products. But yeah, I love the way you've summarized that. And you gave us some really good advice early on in our conversation. But what would be great to know is, what is the best career advice you've ever been given?
My favorite advice that I give to everyone as well, especially in my role as a product manager, is you can have anything you want in life, you just can't have everything. And that is my favorite piece of advice, because it means that, like, you can have anything you want, but 1, you have to make sure that you really want it and it's really important. But 2, you have to understand that it comes at a sacrifice. And so, for me to change my career, for instance, I had to set myself back like 2 years basically, and then I had to start from ground 1. But I would say it was absolutely worth the sacrifice. And it's the same thing as like, as a product manager, is that like, if you've got like a roadmap of like different product features or like changes or whatever, and you've got like a stakeholder who's above you, and they've got like an idea that, or a direction they want to take the product, you can turn to them and say like, yeah, you can have that, but are you willing to sacrifice everything below in the product backlog? And that's the exact same thing that I approach with life. It's like, you can either try to have everything and you end up with nothing, or you can have like the very few things that are really critical to you. And so anyone trying to like break into this field or anything like that, well, not break into is a bit of a harsh word, because like anyone can really get into it, but you just have to be able to prioritize your focus really. And like, and maybe it is that you have to join like a graduate scheme, maybe you have to go back to school, maybe you have to like, start in a whole new industry, or you have to like, take a pay cut to get a new role or a really junior role, or maybe you have to get those like the opinions of like your friends and family who are like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, that's too risky and stuff like that. Sometimes those like little hits or barriers are worth it. Like those are the sacrifices that you will have to make for like your long-term goal. And so that advice has really served me well in whether or not it's my personal life or my professional life. I would definitely use that as a guiding post.
Nice. I love it. And just so that I get the saying right, what was
you can have anything you want in life, you just can't have everything. That is the one phrase I'll live by, I think.
Nice. I love that. This has been great. I've really enjoyed hearing about your experience and how you've got to where you are today. There's some really great bits of advice that you've shared with us. So thank you so much, Wing, for coming onto the show and being a guest.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me. This is really great. I really appreciate you doing this kind of stuff. I think it really helps the community.
No, thanks. That really means a lot. But yeah, until next time.
Thank you very much. Awesome. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.